All right. Well, the other day I broke my transfer case. That's my new one. Well, it's the one that originally came in the truck when I bought it. So I don't know what's wrong with it, with what I did to it. But I was going down the road, 70 something mile an hour, just hanging out, cruising, having a good old time. And all of a sudden, my RPM shot through the roof. I hit red line, started going through gears, and basically had all neutrals. So I pulled over on the side of the road, sat for a second. I'm shaking like crazy. Sorry, you're gonna have to deal with it. But pulled over on the side of the road, sat there for a minute, just enjoyed the AC as best as I could because it was, I want to say it was like 96 degrees. And finally, the guy that I parked in front of his house, he came out and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I told him what was going on. He's like, "Well, you're right here on the shoulder of the road, and there's not much of a shoulder. You're more than welcome to pull off in this gravel pit back here until your buddy gets here with the trailer." So I told him like it's not going to move on its own if you're willing to help me. Mind you, this man is probably 75, 80 years old. I didn't think he could help me push, but I asked him if you can help me push, I can get back there. We can get it back there and get it off the road. I would be appreciative of that. So we got it off the road, and I go to show him that even sitting at a dead stop, I can put the truck through the gears with it without even putting the clutch in. And as soon as I opened the door to show him, I grabbed the gear selector and went to put it in gear, and it acted like it wanted to roll forward. So I hopped in, pushed the clutch down, put it in gear, and I'll be damned if some way somehow it didn't go into low range. But still, mind you, my selector was still in 2-wheel drive, but it was in low range, not in 4-wheel drive, still in 2-wheel drive, but in low range. So I got it down to the shop where you see a lot of my other videos, and we got to looking around, and it's not the shift motor. Shift motor is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So what I'm going to do today is we go ahead and pull that case out of there, put my spare case in, which that's my last spare case. So I'm going to have to take the one that's in it now and rebuild it, because the one I had before this one, I ended up snapping the casing around the output, which I also broke the tail shaft housing when I did that. Um, that's a whole nother story. I'm sure you'll hear it one day. Actually, I'll just go ahead and tell you now. I had a crappy drive shaft that came in a parts truck. What ended up happening is I guess they bent it or something, and so they sleeved it and welded it together and never balanced it or anything. But I ended up breaking the ears for the U joint off the one before that. So I put that one in the truck and I was driving with it for probably 3 months. And then that one snapped and it pierced my gas tank. It broke the output on the transfer case and it broke the tail shaft housing and destroyed both U joints. So transfer cases have not been doing well on this truck. But I'm going to go ahead and pull that one out, put that one in, rebuild that one, and I'll do my best to get as good of a video as I can, showing you guys what all happened. By the time this video goes out, it'll probably be 2 weeks after this has happened. But I'm not excited about doing this. It is 89 degrees right now. And I'm working in my driveway, which is on a slant. I'm not excited for this. But I'm gonna do it. And I'll document it as best as I can. So, next clip, I'll be up under the truck showing you guys how we get this transfer case out. I'm not gonna detail it and or I'm not gonna like show you all the details. I'll just show you these bolts are here, and I'm gonna take them out. Once I get it all, everything all pulled out and put that one in, then I guess I'll start pulling that other case apart. But see you in a minute. All right, first step is going to be unplugging your shift motor. Mine's already pulled off, so I don't have to worry about that. So we had to pull it off to test it the other day. And I believe this has something to do with my issue because this transfer case seems to have found a detent going this way. And obviously there's no gear there. We actually checked everything manually. We actually got it to stick in 4 high, 2 high, 4 low. And they all stick in their respective gear, but it wants to sit right here on its own for some reason. And we even tried it with the shift motor back on it. It didn't want to work. But go ahead and unplug your shift motor. If you have a skid plate, transfer case skid plate, go ahead and pull your 10 mil bolts out. Starting to notice a problem where I have missing bolts basically everywhere, so I'm gonna have to find a bolt and replace that. On the top side of this, there's a plate. Actually, I might be able to get in there and show you. Maybe not. No, I don't think I will be able to. No, might be able to see it there. Yeah. I hope you saw it. If you didn't, I'm sorry. There's my jank exhaust setup. But there's a little plate that's got nuts welded into it, and then the bolts just stick in there, or thread in there. And so we'll go ahead and take those out. They're 10 mils, and we'll be right back. All right, now you've got your skid plate off. You can go ahead and leave those plates in there. There's no reason to take them out because you're probably going to be putting your skid plate back on. So go ahead, get your 12 millimeter 12-point wrench or socket, if a socket will work for you. I can't ever seem to get it with a socket, so I just always use a wrench. But 12 millimeter 12-point. You can take just the front off and slide it back, which you may or may not have the same style drive shaft as me. I'm actually not sure what this drive shaft came out of, but mine's got a slip yoke right here, and I'll squeeze it back. But I'm actually going to take this all the way out because on the back side, all those bolts are loose. So we're also going to be talking about Loctite today. But we're going to go ahead and take those 4 out, 12 mil 12-point. We're going to take these 4 out up here, 12 mil 12-point. Hey, I'm back. I just wanted to make a quick note. Oh my God, this creeper is so loud. Just want to make a quick note. I like to take the bolts out of the rear first if I'm taking the whole drive shaft off, so that I can just thread 2 in slightly. And yes, I know it's leaking like crazy. I don't know what's going on. I'm about to figure that out. But I'll just thread 2 bolts in lightly while I'm taking these out up here. That way it's locked on the rear end. It can't go anywhere. And then when it comes time for me to flip it over so I have room to get between the body and the top bolts, I can just flip it over, and then I'm back down on the bottom, and it doesn't matter anymore. But I also just verified, if you're in a pinch, you can use a 1/2 inch if you don't have a 12 mil 12-point, but it is kind of loose fitting, so don't expect it to not strip everything out. You might want to go get you a 12 mil. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch because I have extra hardware. If I destroy it, it'll be all right. We'll be back. Now is my favorite part of any automotive job. It's when you get your hammer out and hit stuff. These usually get stuck on here. I guess the rear one wasn't stuck because it was so covered in fluid, which the transfer case was leaking too. But go ahead and give it a tap. You can give it a tap here, or do it like I do and actually hit the flange. I prefer to hit the flange. I feel like I don't want to send all that vibration and
stress through that U-joint. Can't imagine it to be worse than the clutch dump, but I'll give you headphone users a second to turn your volume down, and then we'll go ahead and knock this thing off. All right, here you go. There you go. Go ahead and pull that out, and then we'll start working on the transfer case bolts.
All right, so in between the transfer case, ooh, I lost myself here. There we go. In between the transfer case and the tail shaft housing, let's see if I can get up there. You have all your bolts. I believe there's 5. So go ahead. They're all 1/2 inch. 13 millimeter will work. I'm gonna have to get this one to squeeze on there a little tighter, but 13 mil will work. So will 1/2 inch. And let's go ahead and get those off there. You're gonna have to use a wrench for most of these. Some of them you can get a socket on. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock these out. We'll be back. All right. So your bottom bolt by your transmission mount. Don't worry about that plug. Bottom bolt by transmission mount's not gonna come all the way out. Don't worry about it. Just leave it where it sits, and then make sure you leave your top bolt slightly threaded in, because we still got to take this drive shaft out. Go ahead and leave that one in because you don't want it to fall off yet. All right, you ready to take this front drive shaft out? You got 6 of these 8 millimeter bolts. Go ahead and take all 6 of those out, and then slide this cup forward. It may need some persuasion with a tapper, but go ahead and pull that out. Don't worry about the front. If you're just pulling the transfer case out, if you need to do some other things, go ahead and pull the front out too. You'll have to use, I believe it's a T27 Torx bit. I've had it out enough. I'm pretty sure it's T27. But go ahead and take those 8 mils out, and you'll be good to go. All right, we're back to our favorite things. You got those 6 bolts out, those 6 8 millimeters. Go ahead, grab your hammer if she's stuck, and make sure you tap it in here, not here. Make sure you hit it in here. Found out the hard way that the hammer's a little heavier than I thought it was. This outer part is actually a sleeve, and if you move it with that hammer, it makes it very hard. It's very hard to get it to go back and get those bolts in. So don't hit it there. Hit it between here somewhere, because you want it to split right here at this seam. So go ahead and hit it anywhere between here, not here. RIP headphone users. Now, that should have been enough. It was not. Go ahead and hit it some more. There we go. Go ahead and just slide that forward like that, and you'll be good to go. Now, you go ahead and break your transfer case loose. But you're going to want to make sure that you're ready to get a hold of it, because it is somewhere around 70 pounds, I guess. It's a little bit heavy. I can't record this part because I need to be prepared to catch it. Actually, I guess I can. I'll set you guys up here and hope that you can see what I'm doing. But you're just going to grab it, jiggle it. If that didn't do it, go ahead, pull your lower bolt out as far as it'll go. Grab your top bolt, pull it all the way out. Sorry, this might take a second. There we go. Now, grab it, try to twist it a little bit. Give it a little up and down movement. And once you get tired of doing that, go ahead and grab your hammer and tap it. Let's see where I need to hit it. Alright, I'm going to figure this out. I'll be back. Been a second since I've done this. Alright, we ended up changing our mind. We're going to use pry bar method. So, right here where this little bolt is, you get a nice little spot. There's also another one. My exhaust is in the way. There's one up a little higher than this. Go ahead and hit there. Sorry, I turned my pry bar the wrong way. So, go ahead and get in there. Pull it back. See, it already popped loose.
Now I'll set you up on this drive shaft again and see if I can get you guys some type of perspective on what I'm doing. Whew. I might need a little more. Well, I know I need a little more because it didn't come off all the way. It didn't come off as much as I needed. Try to find you a good spot to get your pry bar in. This is harder than it was last time. We're gonna go ahead and get a screwdriver and see if we can't pry the top of this thing. Changed my mind, we're gonna use a wrench. It was closer. I gotta find that spot again. There it is. Now keep in mind this is still on the main shaft of the transmission, so it's not instantly going to fall on you. But support this bottom end right here, the part that hangs over that's offset, because once it comes off the pins, the dowel pins, it will flip. It'll just kind of drop itself over. I'm sure my shoulder's right in the way of that little thing I did there. But just make sure that it's not going to flip on you. And you should be good to go. I want to figure this out off camera so I can cuss a little bit. I guess it's worth mentioning at this point now that I RTV'd this last time. That's why I'm having such a hard time with it. It's stuck together really good. Oh God, I hope that didn't just flip my camera. Anyway, I RTV'd this last time. That's why it's so hard to come apart. What I ended up doing, I stuck my pry bar back in here. And then on the top side, I had there's another little spot just like this where there's a bolt and there's space. I stuck a little wrench in there and I pulled them both back at the same time and kind of wiggled them back and forth and finally come loose. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off on camera for you. Alright, Now it's free to spin. So you've only got probably about 3/4 an inch, maybe an inch, until you come off the end of the main shaft. And it's heavy. Go ahead and grab your vent line, bring it out, twist this thing over to the ground. I actually prefer to set it on my creeper and roll off my creeper. Now, I just have to put this on my creeper and roll it out. I'll come get you guys in a second. Hear me talk to myself?
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm actually taking a YouTube video. All right, we got our old transfer case out. I need to go get my socket that is in that toolbox, and I need to take this nut off. I'll show you how to do that here in a second, because obviously there's nothing keeping it from spinning right now. But I need to get this drive flange out and put it in that transfer case right there. So I'll go ahead and get that socket and we'll get going on it. All right, you need to find you a way to stabilize this case. I used my wife's car and a jack. The way I did it last time, you got to work with what you got. So stabilize the case, throw your 1 1/4 inch socket on there, and put your sacrificial screwdriver in there. You want to catch it on that ear right there. You don't need that. There's nothing that goes in there. That was for the old style cases. That's where the speedo sensor went. Then go get your big long breaker bar. I use a 1/2 inch drive. If you got a 3/8 drive, it's probably gonna break. We're gonna go ahead and put this new case back in. It's just the opposite of what you did when you took it out, but I'm in a rush now, so we're gonna go ahead and cut the video here. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to put them down in the comments. I'm pretty active on my cell phone, like most of America, and I will answer you back. If you talk shit, I will talk shit back too, because that is another thing that I do. But yeah, if you have any questions, just ask, and we'll get you taken care of. It's a Ranger thing is signing off. See you guys.